Okay, so the Cubs and the Sox have been fairly quiet as far as signings and trades have gone. The Cubs have signed or traded for Ian Stewart, giving away LeMahieu and uh, giving away another good prospect in Colvin. The better deal of that, of course, uh, went to uh, Mayhew and Colvin for Stewart. Stewart gave 1 year, uh, played actually a full year. Colvin and LeMahieu weren't given that opportunity, and Colvin did play most of 1 year, and LeMahieu also. So from the time that we saw LeMahieu and Colvin, uh, I would have said that I would have stuck with LeMahieu and Colvin both if the Cubs were indeed trying to reestablish and bring up minor leaguers to compete. Instead, they chose to go for Stewart, needing a third baseman because they did not want to re-sign Ramirez, who is now with the Brewers. And that might have been a mistake for the Cubs if they indeed will try to compete this year. Uh, the Cubs have been real quiet. The only thing that's saving the Cubs right now is the actual dismantling of two of the best players in baseball in their division. Of course, Albert is now with the Angels. Great signing for Albert and his agent, playing for a very respected manager, somebody who he's used to playing for. Very respected manager. You trading in a La Russa for Mike Sosa, you can't get better than that. I don't think that Pujols really wanted to gamble at the end of his career. I think he wanted to keep contributing and play, of being one of the most respected and one of the best players of his time. A very good deal for Albert Pujols. We have yet to see where Prince Fielder is going to end up. Um, Carlos Pena on the Cubs might end up in St. Louis. Uh, that uh, can actually be a big hurt for the Cubs. I mean, the Cubs, uh, they don't have to let Pena go. They can keep Pena. They can play him in the season. If the Cubs start playing good ball, then you keep him. Uh, if the Cubs see that they are not going to end up in the playoffs, or they're not going to contend, um, and Pena is playing well, which he did last year. He had a very good season. He can be very valuable to a team that is going into the playoffs, and therefore be worth a lot more than just letting him go and sign with an opposing team in the same division that can actually hurt the Cubs from actually reaching some type of goal and seeing the competitiveness that they're going to have within their own division. Uh, Trading Pena is just letting Pena go is just not a very good idea for Hoyer and Epstein. I would, in fact, keep Pena. I would let him continue to play the way he plays, putting up good numbers, good power, left-hand hitter, and a park like Wrigley Field is very good. Uh, they they're not going to upgrade to fielder. Uh, I don't believe the Cubs are going to be willing to take on 10 years of Prince Fielder. Uh, Therefore, I think that Fielder is going to end up in the American League also, and probably in Seattle, somewhere where him and Albert will continue to battle each other for a top player in a division and in the league. Uh, the Cubs, it just seems that they're not consistent in what they want to do. Do they want to rebuild? Well, if you wanted to rebuild, you wouldn't have let go of Culver and Mayhew, uh, two great young prospects, given the opportunity to be everyday players, starters every day. Those were things that were on and off with both of them. Uh, um, Re-signing veteran ball players and even Ian Stewart. I mean, you're saying that you're going to build from within the organization and help build the minor leagues. Well, when you want to do something like that and help build the minor leagues and get the best prospects from opposing teams that you could possibly get, you should be a little bit more patient. Having players like Dempster and having players like Pena and Soto and Soriano, these types of players can actually help you to rebuild your minor league system. And if you get rid of them or you let them go without getting in return great prospects, uh, then you have eventually done nothing that you have proposed that you would do. Uh, the Ian Stewart signing is one that baffles me. I don't understand why you would want to get Ian Stewart, even if he was very cost efficient. It's good, okay. Cost efficiency is good. Um, I think we could have waited a little bit longer if we really were interested in Stewart. I think you could have got him for even less, a lot less. I don't see where that signing is going to help the Chicago Cubs. Now, let's move over to the White Sox. And the White Sox, well, there's good news in Chicago with the White Sox. Even though they had to let Mark Burley go, Mark Burley is the person that now that we have seen the departure of him here from Chicago, we actually know where Mark Burley's heart really is. Mark Burley is a Chicago White Sox pitcher. He he might have played maybe the little tug of war game, maybe hinting that St. Louis would be somewhere where he would have liked to go. He had plenty of opportunities with plenty of teams, but even after being signed by the Marlins, he's come back and said that he might come back to Chicago one day. So I think that in the respect to the type of person that Mark Burley is, the years and dedication that he has put on the field, the no hitters, the shutouts, the spectacular plays, the Gold Gloves. He is a very classy Chicago White Sox pitcher, and he has probably earned the love and respect of White Sox fans, along with the chairman of the board, Jerry Reinsdorf, and I think just about anybody who's ever been associated or played for the Chicago White Sox, and even the fans. Again, the same thing I would tell Kenny. If indeed the White Sox are going to try to go into the direction of rebuilding within, you want to hold on to players that are very productive and players that put up good numbers. Um, if you let these players go, then there is no, uh, the word that I'm looking for is collateral. Collateral is what we're looking for as far as baseball is concerned. if you let them all sign with other players, you let them go. If you are having a bad season, nobody's going to want the players you have. And and then you're just going to have to keep them, pay them, and then until their contracts are up, and then you have nothing again. You started from back to plan B again. By holding on to key players like uh, Canerco, Quinton, who have been the most productive offense for the White Sox, you have a leverage, and there is a leverage there where if the White Sox seem that they're not going to contend, you can actually prepare and expose them to teams that are in contention. Slowly watch the prospects that they have and start to build and really do a lot of scouting and see what we can get for these players that we have now. We have these players. How valuable will they be to you, or how much would you want them to help you in a pennant in the playoffs? Is totally what we will be looking at. If I let Quinton and Canerco go and the White Sox have no offense and the pitching is terrible, there's the not just the season, the entire payroll is gone down the drain. It's unproductive. By holding on to Canerco and Quinton, maybe Brzezinski, and some players that they're individually they have great value to somebody who might, in the future might need uh, a good power hitting right fielder like Quinton, a good power hitting first baseman who could actually go in the American League in DH like Canerco, who's year on and year off, he's been the most productive. Those two have been the most productive White Sox power hitters. Unless Dunn comes back and has a great season, and it almost has to be a season that Dunn can come back, because even if Dunn comes back and only has a half-weighted season, it's not going to be good enough for anybody to actually say, well, maybe we can do something and bring Dunn to another team, because he's showing some um, productivity. That's not going to work unless Dunn can show that he's back into a 30 home run, 100 RBI season. You're you're just going to have to eat and sit on that contract. There's nothing you can do. Quinton, on the other hand, has had teams that are very interested in Quinton. I would not let Quinton go. I'd hold on to Quinton just for a little bit more, just to see, just to make sure that the team value, the entire uh, franchise, doesn't go into a what we call a player bankruptcy, where quite honestly, nobody in the league is going to look at anybody. The mention of even the White Sox doesn't even exist in the free trade market, or in any type of market as far as making deals, because quite frankly, you couldn't give these players that you kept to anybody, and that's very dangerous for a franchise to lose its entire value as a franchise because you decided, well, let me get rid of some of the veterans. Well, if they're not the most productive players, you can do that. There are some players, the Viscals, some of the other players that, uh, uh, if some team got in their playoffs and the White Sox were out of it, yeah, they might be picked up. They're gonna want them for nothing. There's just not a great value for them. But players like Canerco, players like Quinton, players like Brzezinski, they can still bring back great value if the White Sox don't contend, and they're still going to have a there's still a price ticket that you can label them with if you hold on to them. That's totally what I would do. I'm not Kenny Williams, I'm not Jet Hoyer, or I'm not that Theo Epstein, but I will definitely not let a franchise go completely player bankrupt uh,